academic settings, especially in criminology, integrity is not just a classroom role. It's a preparation for real-world responsibilities. One common issue is unfair group dynamics, and what should be done when someone contributes nothing but still want equal recognition. In this video, we will explore the ethical dilemma using Immanuel Kant's categorical imperative, a framework based on duty, reason, and respect for our human dignity. And this is the scenario. A group works hard on a semi-final project, but one member skips meetings, ignores message, and doesn't help at all. When it's time to submit, the member still wants their name on the project and full credit. The rest of the group feel it's unfair, but they are also unsure how to respond. Do they include the member for the sake of peace, or stand firm on what's fair? Let's use the Kantian ethics to break it down.
Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, believed that the right thing to do does not depend on feelings or outcomes, but on whether our action follows a moral law. This law is the categorical imperative. It applies to everyone, everywhere, at all times. Kant believed we must act only on rules we could want everyone to follow. He also stressed that people should never be used as tools for someone else's benefit. Let's begin applying this to our scenario.
Kant's first test is universalizability. What if everyone did the same thing? If every student took credit without contributing, then group work would be pointless. No one would trust teamwork, grades would no longer reflect effort, and dishonesty would become normal. This creates a contradiction. The system depends on cooperation, but the action destroys cooperation. So under this formulation, the action is immoral because it can be made universal.
Next is respect for persons. Kant says we should treat others as ends in themselves, not just as a means to get what we want. In this case, the non-contributing member wants to benefit from others' work without offering anything in return. They are using the group, not working with the group. This disrespects their effort, ignores their time and stress, and takes advantage of them. According to Kant, this action is unethical because it violates human dignity.
The third formulation emphasizes autonomy and duty. We all have the ability to think for ourselves and choose what's right, not just what's easy. Our moral duty here is clear: to uphold fairness, to be honest about contributions, and to maintain academic integrity. Supporting dishonest credit violates that duty, even if avoids conflict. As future criminologists, our field depend on truth, justice, and responsibility. It starts here.
After evaluating the situation, using all three formulations of the categorical imperative, we find 1. It cannot be universalized. 2. It disrespects others. 3. It violates our moral duty. Therefore, an ethical choice is to refuse credit to the non-contributing member. Doing so promotes responsibility, honesty, and respect. Values essential to ethical behavior in any field, especially criminology.
As a future criminologist, we all deal with the issue of justice, crime, and truth. Every action we take, big or small, should reflect our commitment to ethics. Practicing fairness and responsibility now builds our character for future roles in law enforcement, investigation, or the courts. Even these classroom scenarios teaches us how to choose justice over convenience. Kant's moral philosophy offers more than theory. It provides a guide for real life. By applying reason, respecting others, and acting from duty, we can make ethical choices even they're difficult. In this case, means standing up for fairness even if it feels uncomfortable. And that's the kind of thinking we need, not just in school but in society. Thank you for watching our presentation. We hope you gained insight into how Kant's categorical imperative can be used to handle ethical dilemmas, both in classroom and the real world.